When our nation's veterans return from war, they're supposed to get a package of benefits. There are growing complaints tonight from veterans that they aren't getting the benefits they've been promised, and by law. Here's what happened. President Trump signed an updated GI Bill. It's called the Forever GI Bill. That was in July 2017. It recalibrated housing allowances and education stipends. The VA brought in a contractor to get its systems updated, but that update didn't work, apparently. Quickly, a backlog built up of veterans either being overpaid or worse, underpaid or not paid at all on some of their benefits. That backlog still exists today as the VA tries to figure out how to fix this problem. We have since found out the biggest problem has been housing stipends to help student veterans. That's why many people sign up for the military, to have this opportunity. The VA doesn't know how many of the hundreds of thousands of student veterans are being underpaid. In October alone, the VA says 1,000 students called its financial hardship hotline to request immediate help. These veterans depending on the GI Bill to help pay their rent or their mortgage or to pay for their education. Those bills for an unknown number of veterans are not being paid because the computer systems aren't working. The computers. Congress is demanding answers, including today at the House Veterans Affairs Committee. The person in charge of benefits testified the problem would be fixed, but then turned out that wasn't the whole story.
Let me clarify. We're going to go back and, for the fall of 18, recompute the payments using the 18 rates, as you indicated, and we will make those people whole. Okay? So overpayments, if there are any, will be disregarded. Underpayments will be adjusted, and those veterans will get a check in January. When the new law goes into effect in the spring of 2020, we will use the new rates going forward.
Under questioning from the chairman of the committee, Congressman Phil Rowe of Tennessee, the question of logistics, how to actually fix that problem, was not answered.
But if we follow the law as is, then you've got to go back and look. It creates, I realize, a lot of work to do that. I understand that. To go back and make sure that those students who started class in the fall semester in August of this year are going to be made whole according to the law as it was passed August 1 and stated in law August 1 of 2018.
Right. We'll seek to work with you and your staff to better understand whether that's in the best interest of veterans, given all the work you described, the potential low benefits from doing that, quite frankly. So I think we need to figure out whether we need to come back to you and ask for a legislative change to push the date to December 1st or not. It's not our intention to harm veterans. We also have to think about the broad veteran population and whether what you're describing yields any benefits, just work.
But remember, he had just said there would be recompense. Other members of the committee are also upset about the lack of technical clarity, including the ranking Democratic member.
We had an intent in the law. Veterans may have understood that to be a certain way. So we may still have an issue. You may look at the law and say, well, we interpret it this way. I assure you we are going to have constituents who will say that is not what we thought that to mean. So we need to be in close communication as you look at what is an error to understand there are going to be veterans who believe that they were promised this.
Hundreds of thousands of veterans affected. This is important. So I spoke with the chairman of the committee earlier today, and we're going to play that for you in just a few minutes. But we also thought it's important to hear from a veteran who is personally affected by this issue, effectively amounting to an unexpected pay cut with no firm date for a fix. Joe Kasabian served 2 tours of duty in the Army in Afghanistan. He has seen reports of back pay never coming through, perhaps. Again, the VA is disputing that tonight without providing clarity on how it's going to be fixed. A lot of veterans are upset about what's happening with student veterans not getting fully compensated as they expected. What's been your personal experience?
My personal experience, so I got out in 2013, and by and large, the VA has been positive. It obviously has its flaws. That can go without saying. You can see that anywhere. But by and large, it's been okay. Once your paperwork's been put in, school is pretty painless. It took a long time for my disability claim to get processed, but after a year, I've had no issues with that. That all changed in the last about year and a half. Since then, I've either not been able to register for school or I've had issues registering for school. My VA disability they're attempting to cut that. My school has now so when you use your GI Bill, you get housing stipends. So you can afford to go to school because we're adults. We don't have anybody helping us. It's part of our benefits for serving. That's all pretty much gone. A lot of people are getting none of it. Mine was cut by around 70 or 80%.
You live in Seattle, which is an incredibly expensive place to live, especially as a student. What does that mean in terms of your bank account every month? How much were you getting and how much did you expect?
So I was getting ballpark around $1,600 for school. And on top of that, with my disability, I was able to survive. And now that's pretty much all gone. My housing stipend has been cut down to about $575 the last time I saw it. And anywhere in Western Washington state, that won't get you a bedroom, let alone anything considered a life.
And I'm sure you asked the VA what's going on here. What'd they tell you?
Well, we had been seeing issues for quite some time, and this whole thing about this IT glitch, we found out about it with everybody else. It was just like, oh yeah, this IT glitch has been going on for months. And they tried to rectify it by actually hiring people, which is mind-blowing that they didn't do that before. But I think there's more of an underlying cause of why this is happening. And has something to do with like the planned obsolescence of the VA, and most of the people in charge of it and most of the people on the VA housing committee all want to privatize it. I'm
thinking of the magnitude of this with so many student veterans. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. And, we were all made a promise when we enlisted, and that was, your life in the next couple of years, or maybe you'll retire in 20 years. It's going to suck. I mean, it's something that you kind of volunteer for because the vast majority of us come from disadvantageous economic backgrounds. We weren't going to go to school without this. I mean, that's the carrot to enlistment. And, the promise is being fundamentally broken over and over and over again.
Do you think you and other veterans will be satisfied if they say, we understand your concern, we just cannot fix it at this time, and so going forward in spring of 2019, we'll have it fixed?
How many people are going to be homeless by 2019? I mean, words are completely, empty, and that's something that the chair commission and the benefits officials are really good at.
I think it's helpful to hear one story because while all others are not the same, you can kind of extrapolate from there in some ways that might be meaningful. I wonder, this is not seeing any easy or quick resolution. Are you going to be okay?
I'll be okay. Thankfully I'm an author, and I have other ways to make my bills. But I know several people that I served with that won't be okay, and we're trying to figure out how they will be for at least the next foreseeable future.
Other people are trying to figure that out too, including the chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, who I talked with today about this issue and brought him these specific concerns and complaints. Congressman Rowe gave us time to talk today over the phone from his office right here in Washington.
And I never got Dr. Lawrence, who's the Undersecretary for VA Benefits, to come out and actually say this, is that to actually follow the law, then you've got to go back and relook at all those 400,000 plus claims and say, is this zip code correct for where this bricks and mortar school is? And he was saying that, well, we may need to change it and do it the 1st of December of 2019. Well, I still think until the law is changed, you've got to follow the law.
Even if that money is paid at some later date, let's say, veterans have bills due now. Tuition, rent, mortgage. Chairman Rowe, a veteran himself who served in Korea and Vietnam, recognizes that.
Chance, we're going to lean on that hard so that I want the money to be accurate. If it's overpaid, okay, fine. We eat that. If you're underpaid, I want you to get your money. That's what we said we'd give you. We ought to give it to you.
All right, I asked Chairman Rowe what more he would like to see right now in President Trump's actions. After all, President Trump has been involved in this issue in the past. He's the one who signed the new GI Bill in July 2017.
He wants this fixed, and he wants it done right, and the Congress has done that. And we're going to give the VA whatever support they need. We've asked them, do you need any more money? What do you need to do to get this right? And right now, we haven't gotten any answers.
By the way, if you are a veteran watching tonight, or you know someone else who is dealing with this problem, Chairman Rowe, he gave us this phone number, and he really wanted us to share it with you, so we're going to. It's for a specific person in his office. His name is John Clark, who is there in the office to handle questions and help expedite complaints with the VA. It's on your screen, 202-225-3527. He said they'll do everything they can to help. And by the way, this is all very personal for Chairman Rowe because he too once relied on the GI Bill. He became a medical doctor after service in Vietnam.
And I saw how our men and women were treated after that war. It was terrible. And I've got too many friends on the wall who died for absolutely nothing. And I made a commitment to myself. I didn't think too much about it for years and just, you know, went all of my life, raised my family. And the older I've gotten, the more I've thought about how we did that. And it was wrong. And after Desert Shield and Desert Storm, I saw the country's attitude change toward our Americans' active duty military. They told me when I traveled not to even travel in my uniform, and many Vietnam veterans will tell you that. And so that's changed. It makes me proud. I travel a lot and obviously fly around the country with my job as chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee. And people, you know, I'm in airports. They don't know who I am. But it makes me feel good when we had announced to get on the airplane. If you have an active duty, you know, if you're active duty military, have a military ID, you can get on the airplane first. I can tell you for this old veteran, makes me feel pretty good to see that. And I know all the programs are available. We'll never get it all right. We'll never make every program work exactly right. But I can tell you the intent of the Veterans Affairs Committee, both in the Senate and the House, when we work very closely together, is to do the absolute very best we can for our nation's veterans.
He sounds determined. And by the way, we promise to stay on this in the months and years ahead as well. This is The Why.